Hey gamers, Maniac here with yet another Maniac's Kitchen, and this is a bit of a twofer because I actually this is a bit weirder because I'm not really going to be telling a story. I'm sorry, I'm going to be telling a story today, and I'm not going to be, how do I put this? I'm not going to be reviewing something directly that I'm going to be eating here, nor am I going to be providing a recipe for you guys. This is more going to be about a food story. And by all means, I want to hear your feedback about this because this is a different type of episode for Maniac's Kitchen. But I've been wanting to tell this story because I think it's a fun story. It's a cool story. This is not really a food blog or anything, but I do think that it counts for, like, you know, I have an ongoing love of otaku culture. Probably the wrong shirt to be wearing for that, but, you know, needless to say, I do think that this kind of fits a little bit, especially given the fact that I do cover a lot of Japanese cultural content. I've been absolutely obsessed with Japanese culture as of recently. I don't know why, but I really want to take a trip out to Japan someday and check it out and visit. And so I've been actually watching a lot of travel logs and Japanese broadcasts in English or subtitled, basically, to try to get the lay down of like if I do go there, to be prepared somewhat for the culture shock and things like that, basically. So sit down, relax, and let me tell you this story as I enjoy this Rockstar beverage about the first time I ever had Japanese food. Back in 2007, I was attending the very first E4. In 2007 and 2008, there really was no E3. And so a new organization kind of stepped in to compensate, and they allowed the public into it. But I was there for it. And I brought my father, who wanted to go. He wanted a trip to California, or excuse for a trip to California. And I brought the unknown camera person. And again, this was Los Angeles, what we thought was going to be busy, so we were trying to find a place to stay in downtown that would be within walking distance or so of the convention center, so my father could go out and visit the coast and stuff like that. And we could just walk back to the hotel for the day. So we stayed at this beautiful hotel. I don't know if it's still there, but if it is, it really is. It really was a nice hotel when we stayed there, called the New Otani Hotel, which was located either in the middle of kind of like the Little Tokyo section. Maybe it's called I don't remember what it was called exactly, but it was very much in like a Tokyo section of downtown Los Angeles. It was either right next to it or right in the middle of it. And I thought that was really cool. It was a really cool looking place, a really cool looking area. Again, I don't know if this is still around. Again, this was over a decade ago, but I think it was. And so we wanted to check out the area, of course. Like when we weren't at because, you know, E4 was only happening at certain times, and we only wanted to check out certain, you know, certain times, certain days. And so, well, when the night hit, when the convention was over, we wanted to explore, you know, this little Tokyo area. Now, I can't stress this enough. At that time in my life, this was around 2007, you have to take into account, like, what my mindset was at the time. I had never had Japanese food before. I was familiar with Japan in, like, the same way that I was familiar that Final Fantasy existed, and while I had played games like Chrono Trigger and Earthbound, and I loved them, and I had had an original NES as a kid, I was more into games like Half-Life 2 at the time and Doom 3 at the time. So I wasn't really as I wasn't really very otaku curious back then. I would later, you know, years later, probably around 2012 or 2013, I became very obsessed with Japanese culture, and that continues on to this day. But at the time, I hadn't really even had that much Japanese food. In fact, I had never had Japanese food, and I had never had sushi before, that sort of thing. I kind of been avoiding it. I don't remember why. So, needless to say, that's not important. We decided that since we were staying in this, like, basically this little Japan area, or this little Tokyo area of the city, we should try to get some food. And we spotted this really cool looking restaurant that was kind of like a sushi bar almost kind of looking place. That was kind of like right next door in this little shopping district, right next door to the hotel. So my father, the unknown camera person, and I walk into this place. You know, it's night. We're there for dinner. You know, I'm willing to try Japanese food. Now, a couple of things about myself and my friends and my father. I had never had Japanese food before, The unknown camera person by this point was an avid sushi eater. So they had had Japanese food before, of course. My father also had not really had Japanese food before, and he has a very, very restrictive palate with that kind of stuff. There's only certain things that he likes. So we sit down and we start looking at the menus. Now, I noticed that on the booth that we were sitting at is that there's this little, what I thought was this little scale. And I didn't know what it was there for, but it was on every countertop. It was in every booth, and so I thought it was just simply like an electronic scale, maybe for like weighing food or something like that. That's what I thought it was. That's what I thought it was for. And I didn't think anything of it. We didn't touch it or anything like that. We just thought maybe they had to weigh the food to determine how much it, because for all we knew, we were getting fresh fish right off the market, basically. So we start placing our orders. Like, I'm looking at this thing, and for the first time ever, I see what really looked interesting to me: Kobe beef. And I was like, I had heard Kobe beef was like the best beef ever. I should really try that. So I ordered a Kobe beef dinner. The unknown camera person ordered, basically it was, like I said, a sushi eater, and they ordered a, I believe it was the seafood platter, like just their basic seafood platter, basically expecting like a smattering of different types of things. And that's what they got. And my father ordered, chicken teriyaki with rice. So the food comes up. As the guy is placing, as the waiter is taking our orders, he takes this bowl of water and he puts it on the scale. And again, we don't think anything of it really. And then he walks away to place the order, and we waited a little bit. We're sitting around. We don't touch the bowl because we figured maybe he has to put the food in the bowl or so. I don't know. To weigh it, I don't know. I didn't know at the time. And we get ready to start eating. Finally, the food comes out. My father gets chicken teriyaki, and it's exactly what you expected, chicken teriyaki. But my food and the unknown camera person's food are raw. I literally get like this sliced raw steak. And while, don't get me wrong, it looks great, it is not cooked. The unknown camera person gets all this raw seafood, like raw scallops, raw shrimp, bits of raw fish, basically. All kind, like I said, total seafood platter, but again, all raw. Now my friend, again, thinking sushi, is thinking, we're gonna eat this. I'll eat this raw. I'm fine with eating this raw if I have to. And I'm thinking, I really don't want to eat this raw. Are we missing something? Now again, my father just gets regular chicken teriyaki, and he always gets chicken teriyaki. He likes chicken teriyaki, and he just starts eating it. It is cooked. His food is cooked. So he flagged down the waiter and like, hello, can you give us a clue? What are we doing? What did we miss? Is this supposed to be raw? Are we supposed to eat this raw? I didn't even know how chopsticks worked, basically. And finally the guy's like, you're new here, aren't you? And I'm like, yeah, can you tell us what's going on? And he explains a really nice waiter. And he says, well, what you're supposed to do is, it's like, it turned out that scale that we thought was a scale wasn't a scale at all. It was a hot plate. And the bowl full of water, over the course of us waiting for the food, had heated up. The water was now boiling, or just about at boiling temperature. What we were supposed to do was take the food that my friend and I had been given and put it in the hot, scalding water to boil it. And that would essentially cook the food. And he told us, it's like, well, you basically got Kobe beef, so depending upon how rare or how well done you want it, it could be anywhere from about, I can't remember, let's say somewhere between like 30 seconds and 3 minutes. I can't remember. It might have been 30 seconds and 2 minutes. I can't remember. And he starts like pointing to, oh, that takes 2 minutes, for my friend's plate, because again, like they got all this different type of seafood. Oh, this takes 2 minutes, and this takes 3 minutes, and this takes 30 seconds, and this will take, basically explaining to them like how long it would take to seep in the water and boil for it to be edible. And that was my first exposure. So I take my food with the chopsticks, and I put it in the boiling water. My friend does the same. My father's looking at me like, I have no idea where we are right now, but this is kind of an interesting experience. I take the Kobe beef out. After it's been cooked, it basically, you can visually see that it is cooked. It went from like red to like brown. I put it in my mouth. I might have added a little bit of soy sauce to it. I don't remember. And it was just delicious. To this day, I haven't had Kobe beef since. Not because I don't want Kobe beef, but because, again, I don't live in California normally, at least not anymore. So the venues where I can get Kobe beef, or the opportunity where I can get Kobe beef for an affordable price, has not happened since. And that's a great regret because I really did like it. I really did like it. My friend, we ate the food. We ate the food plenty. We loved it. We had a great time. It was a wonderful experience. My first experience ever really trying Japanese cuisine. Now, I don't remember what that type of eating was called. Again, it wasn't sushi. It wasn't a sushi house. So I don't, and it wasn't hibachi either. Hibachi is of course something different. Of course, that's grilling. It's not boiling. And I have had hibachi and I have had sushi since, but again, that would be a different type of story. So yeah, if you know what I did, if this is still a thing, is this still a thing? Like again, in my area, they've opened plenty of sushi and hibachi places. Again, I live on the other coast, but I haven't really seen any place like that since. Is that still a thing? Is it still a thing in Japan? Please tell me because I really want to know. It was a fun experience. I don't think I would do it every day, but certainly, once a month, certainly for a reward or a treat would certainly have been a cool experience again. That's the story about the first time I ever had Japanese food. Please post a comment below what you think about this video or what you thought about your first experience trying another culture's food. Obviously, I was an adult at the time, so it wasn't like, I can remember like being a child and not liking it or liking it. I was a full-fledged adult. This was the first time I had it. And then, of course, I later went on to become, to eat sushi and become a happy little otaku in training, basically. So if you have any further ideas about stuff you'd like me to try or what you thought about this video, post a comment below. Until next time, guys, my name is Maniac with GamingSuccess.net. Take care. Over and out.